Imagine this. The room is tense. Everyone is panicking, voices are rising, and stress fills the air like smoke. But then, there's you. Quiet, calm, composed. You're not pretending everything's fine. You're simply refusing to let the chaos control you. That's the first sign of true emotional intelligence. The ability to stay calm when everything around you is falling apart. Most people think intelligence is about IQ, grades, or how fast you can solve a math problem. But when life hits hard, when the deal falls through, when your relationship hits a storm, when life throws chaos in your face, raw IQ doesn't help. What really matters is your emotional stability. Think about the leaders we admire most. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, yet he didn't come out bitter. He came out calm, wise, and ready to unite people. Or think about a great coach during a championship game. The crowd is screaming, the clock is ticking, the pressure is insane. Yet the coach stays calm, calls the right plays, and inspires the team. That's what emotional intelligence looks like in real life. Here's the thing. Calm doesn't mean weak. Calm means powerful. It means you control the situation instead of the situation controlling you. Now, let's bring it closer to home. Maybe you've been in a heated argument, and instead of shouting back, you took a deep breath and said, "I understand what you're saying. Let's figure this out." That's not avoidance. That's emotional intelligence. Or maybe at work, when everyone is panicking over a deadline, you're the one who says, "Okay, let's break this down. What's step one?" You don't just calm yourself, you calm others. The truth is, when you stay calm in chaos, people naturally look to you for guidance. You become the anchor in the storm, the rock in the flood, the steady hand everyone trusts. Here's the motivational piece. Life will always throw storms at you. You can't stop the waves, but you can learn to surf. Emotional intelligence is about riding those waves instead of drowning in them. And if you're watching this thinking, "But I lose my cool sometimes," guess what? That's okay. Nobody is perfectly calm 100 of the time. Emotional intelligence isn't about never feeling angry, sad, or frustrated. It's about what you do with those emotions. You've probably heard the quote, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response." That space, that pause before you react, is where emotional intelligence lives. So, the first powerful sign is this. When chaos comes, you don't collapse. You breathe. You think. You rise above it. Sign number 2 is that you understand people better than they understand themselves. Here's something most people don't realize. Emotional intelligence isn't just about how you manage your own feelings. It's about how deeply you can read and connect with others. Think about it. Have you ever noticed when someone says, "I'm fine," but their eyes tell you they're not? Or maybe a friend cracks a joke at a party, but you instantly sense that they're covering up sadness. That ability to read between the lines, to see the truth behind the mask, that's emotional intelligence in action. The truth is, most people don't fully understand their own emotions. They might feel angry, but underneath, they're actually hurt. They might act confident, but deep down, they're insecure. Emotionally intelligent people can sense that hidden layer. They know how to listen to what's not being said. Here's a story. A manager once had an employee who suddenly became withdrawn at work. Others thought she was lazy or unmotivated. But instead of judging, the manager pulled her aside and gently asked, "Are you okay? I've noticed you've been quieter lately." The employee broke down in tears. She had been going through a family crisis but didn't know how to talk about it. That one moment of empathy changed everything. She felt seen, valued, and supported. That's what emotional intelligence does. It builds trust. It creates bonds. It makes people feel safe around you. Now let's flip it. Have you ever met someone who constantly talks but never listens? They're not tuned in. They miss the subtle cues, the tone of your voice, the hesitation in your words, the shift in your body language. Conversations with them feel shallow, draining, and empty. But emotionally intelligent people, they don't just hear your words. They hear your heart. And here's the magic. When you understand people better than they understand themselves, you give them something priceless: clarity. Sometimes just putting their feelings into words for them is life-changing. Imagine telling a friend, "I think you're not angry. You're actually disappointed because you felt overlooked." Suddenly, they realize you're right, and they feel understood in a way they couldn't even articulate themselves. This doesn't just make you a good friend. It makes you a powerful leader, partner, and human being. Why? Because people don't follow those who are the smartest. They follow those who understand them. Emotional intelligence is like having emotional radar. While others see the surface, you see the depth. While others only react to what's obvious, you respond to what's real. So here's the second sign. You don't just notice people's words, you notice their soul. You understand people at a level most can't even reach. Number 3 is that you know how to control your own emotions. Picture this. You're driving, and someone suddenly cuts you off. Most people slam the horn, yell, maybe even chase the car just to teach them a lesson. But you take a breath. You shake your head, let it go, and keep driving. That, right there, is emotional intelligence. Because here's the truth. Anyone can feel emotions, but not everyone can control them. And let's be clear, control doesn't mean ignoring or bottling up your emotions. That only builds pressure until you explode. Control means managing your emotions so they work for you, not against you. Think about athletes. When the pressure is highest, last second on the clock, thousands of people watching, they don't let fear paralyze them. They use that adrenaline as fuel. That's emotional control. Or take an argument. Someone throws harsh words at you. The easy reaction is to snap back to prove your point louder. But emotional intelligence whispers, don't fight fire with fire. Stay grounded. Respond, don't react. Here's the thing. Emotions are powerful, but they're also temporary. Anger fades. Sadness passes. Excitement cools. If you can just hold on, if you can just create that tiny space before reacting, you gain control. That space is everything. Here's a real-life example. A man once lost his job unexpectedly. At first, he was furious, ready to send an angry email, burn bridges, and blame everyone. But instead, he paused. He let the emotions settle. The next day, with a clearer head, he realized losing the job was actually a blessing. It pushed him into starting his own business, which became more successful than the job ever was. That's the power of controlling your emotions. You don't make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings. Now, let's bring this to you. Have you ever regretted saying something in the heat of the moment? Maybe you texted back in anger or yelled at someone you love, only to feel guilty later. We've all been there. Emotional intelligence doesn't mean you'll never feel that surge again. It means you'll learn to pause, breathe, and choose differently next time. One of the best ways to build this control is through self-awareness. Ask yourself, what am I really feeling right now? Why? Sometimes anger is really stress. Sometimes jealousy is really insecurity. The more you understand the root of your emotions, the easier they are to manage. Here's the motivational part. When you master your emotions, you become unstoppable. People who can't control themselves are slaves to every mood, every trigger, every circumstance. But when you learn to stay calm, patient, and intentional, you rise above. So the third sign of emotional intelligence is this. You don't let your emotions drive the car. You sit in the driver's seat, and your emotions ride along, but you're the one steering. Number 4 is that you turn conflict into connections. Most people see conflict as a battlefield, a place where one person wins and the other loses. But here's the truth. For emotionally intelligent people, conflict is not the end of a relationship. It's an opportunity to deepen it. Think about it. Conflict isn't bad. It's natural. Anytime two human beings care about something deeply, differences will show up. The real question is, do you use those differences to destroy the relationship or to build it stronger? Emotionally intelligent people choose the second option. Here's an example. Imagine a couple arguing about money. One partner is angry, saying, "You spend too much." The other feels attacked and snaps back, "You're controlling." Normally, this would spiral into blame and resentment. But someone with emotional intelligence takes a step back and says, wait, we're both scared. You're worried about security. I'm worried about freedom. How can we find a balance that gives us both peace? Suddenly, the fight isn't me versus you anymore. It's us versus the problem. That shift changes everything. Another example. At work, two teammates clash over how to handle a project. One wants speed, the other wants quality. An emotionally intelligent leader doesn't just silence one side. They listen to both, highlight the strengths of each perspective, and create a solution that blends the best of both worlds. What started as tension becomes innovation. Here's the secret. Conflict reveals what people truly value. If you're smart enough to listen beneath the argument, you'll discover their fears, needs, and desires. And when you address those, you don't just solve the conflict, you build trust. Now think about the opposite. Someone who can't handle conflict either avoids it completely, letting resentment grow in silence, or they attack, leaving broken relationships behind. Neither works in the long run. Avoidance breeds distance. Aggression breeds fear. But turning conflict into connection, that creates loyalty, respect, unshakable bonds. There's a powerful saying, strong relationships aren't built in the good times. They're built in the tough conversations. And that's the truth. When you face conflict with empathy instead of ego, you don't just end the fight. You transform it. You walk away with a stronger bond than before. So the fourth sign of emotional intelligence is this. You don't fear conflict. You use it. You turn arguments into understanding and tension into trust. The fifth sign is that you keep growing no matter what life throws at you. Here's the ultimate test of emotional intelligence. How you respond to life's hardest moments. Anyone can stay positive when things are easy. But when you lose your job, when a relationship breaks, when your plans collapse, that's when your true emotional strength shows. And emotionally intelligent people, they don't just survive challenges. They use them as fuel for growth. Think about it. Every failure carries a lesson. Every heartbreak teaches resilience. Every setback is a stepping stone to something greater. People with emotional intelligence don't waste time asking, why me? Instead, they ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow? Let me tell you a story. There was once a man who applied for his dream job and didn't get it. Most people would feel crushed. But instead of giving up, he asked the hiring manager for feedback. That feedback became the blueprint he used to sharpen his skills. 6 months later, he landed an even better job at a different company. His rejection wasn't an ending. It was a redirection. That's the mindset of emotional intelligence. Setbacks aren't dead ends. They're detours towards something better. Here's the key. Growth requires humility. Emotionally intelligent people admit when they're wrong. They don't pretend to know it all. They stay open to feedback, to learning, to evolving. Because life is always changing. People who refuse to grow get stuck. But people with emotional intelligence keep adapting, adjusting, and rising higher, no matter what comes their way. It's like a tree. When a storm hits, weak branches snap. But the strong tree bends, flexes, and survives. Emotional intelligence is that flexibility, the ability to bend without breaking. And here's why this matters. Growth doesn't just make your life better. It inspires everyone around you. When people see you bounce back from failure, when they see you turn pain into wisdom, they see what's possible for themselves. So the fifth and final sign is this. You're always evolving. You don't let failure define you. You let it refine you. So, those are the 5 powerful signs that you're emotionally intelligent. And if you recognized yourself in even a few of them, that's something to be proud of, because it means you're not just living life, you're mastering it. But here's the thing. Emotional intelligence isn't a finish line. It's a lifelong journey. The more you practice, the stronger it gets. And the stronger it gets, the more unstoppable you become. If this video gave you value, hit that like button so more people can find it. If you want to keep growing with me, subscribe. We've got more powerful insights coming that will transform the way you think, feel, and live. And now I want to hear from you. Which of these 5 signs do you see in yourself the most? Drop your answer in the comments. I'll be reading them. Remember, intelligence opens doors. But emotional intelligence? That's what makes you truly unstoppable.